Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, Sask Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers.
Joining us here on the Real Agriculture for this edition of the Canola School. It's a cold, wet, windy day. We're talking pre-seed weed control with Angela Brackenreed of the Canola Council of Canada. Angela, pre-seed weed control, obviously producers should take some time to look at weed populations on their field before putting canola in the ground.
Yeah, that's right, Kelvin. It's easy to get in the seeding mindset and not really want to stop, and I can understand that, but it is so important to seed into a clean field and really can be more beneficial to yield at the end of the day than early seeding. So we really encourage growers to take a look at what's out there and see if a pre-seed herbicide application is warranted ahead of seeding their canola crop.
Now, glyphosate is what we usually use, but there are some other options that we should be looking at?
Yeah, that's right. Glyphosate obviously is the product choice for a pre-seed application, but there are some tank mix options ahead of canola in particular. There's bromoxynil and carfentrazone are options to use, and these products are particularly effective if you're targeting volunteer canola. They are contact herbicides, so there's some considerations there with the use of a contact mixing with a systemic product, and you need to look at what your weed species are to determine are they the right choice for you. If that weed species has a taproot, then a contact herbicide is not going to add any benefit and actually could be detrimental with your glyphosate.
And this diversity and these tank mixes are, of course, key in the battle against glyphosate resistance.
Yeah, that's right, Kelvin. I think glyphosate resistance is something that every producer should be thinking about. This is such an effective tool for us, and obviously there's certain times a year that we really rely on it. And I think if producers were to think about how different their farming operation would be without the effective use of glyphosate, they would all agree that it would really change that landscape dramatically. So diversifying your operation to ensure the effective use of glyphosate into the future is extremely important. Now, saying diversifying your operation is easy for me to spit out, but it's not always as easy in practice. Things like diversifying crop rotation, using different modes of action in crop, particularly when we really rely on glyphosate pre-seed and pre-harvest. Even growing things like a winter cereal can help with add competition earlier in the spring and later in the fall.
So it's not just in chemistries, it's also in crops and
oh,
practices.
Absolutely. There's cultural methods that we can practice that can certainly help. I guess when you look at it in the terms of weeds are living organisms, and the goal of every living organism is to produce offspring, so in weeds' case produce seeds, and if that weed's ability to do that is hindered, they're going to try and adapt and find a way to do it. So if what you're doing on your operation is very similar from year to year, it's much easier for them to figure out how to adapt to it. So if you diversify things and outsmart the weed, it just becomes harder for them to figure out how to adapt and become resistant.
Mm-hmm. What about if producers haven't done a pre-seed application but are hoping or planning to do a pre-emerge after seeding?
Yeah, absolutely. The only reason that I caution a little bit with the pre-emerge application is that window is quite tight. And with the conditions that we've had, we seeded into pretty good moisture, and we had some warm conditions. That crop can come out of the ground quite quickly, and it only takes a couple days like this where all of a sudden you miss that opportunity to spray in the crops out of the ground, and you no longer can get that operation done.
All right. But the key is, of course, to get canola off to as good a start as you can without competition.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want lots of weeds out there taking those vital nutrients and moisture away from the crop. And there is lots of evidence that seeding into a clean field is more beneficial to yield at the end of the day than early seeding. So I know that we all get eager to seed, and particularly with coming out of years that we were in a crunch, it's hard to kind of slow down and say, we can stop the seeder and spray, but it really will be worth it at the end of the day.
Thanks for your time, Angela.
Thanks, Kelvin.